Hey everybody, Matt Vader 74 here, and I've already screwed up the start of this thing. But wow, that's weird. What is that?
What'd you
That's
do?
typical. Wow. Cadis is just losing his mind on me right there. Anyway, hey guys, it's me, Matt Vader. I'm the host today because Matthew Kadish over here is traveling and he's being a good fiance and hanging out with his future wife's family. Right, Matt? Having some fun, doing some good stuff there.
Yes, my future
Oh, what a
wife.
bench.
Yes.
Yes, his future living in sin wife that he's with right now.
Yeah,
So they're a
I'm
good
coming
couple.
at you with this unflattering camera angle from my brother-in-law's man cave. So,
I love it. Yeah, as
Yeah.
low as possible, dude.
Yeah.
You know, with that camera angle, you look like you're like Egghead from the old Batman series because
I
you
know.
got the Dutch angle going and everything, and then of course you got the wooden Indian back there. You know, you just everything. You just need to say excellent with everything now.
The wooden Indian. Wow, I haven't seen one of those
oh,
in a long
you
time.
guys should see this man cave. Okay,
Yeah.
so see in the background,
Yeah.
it's like this whole like Native American theme.
That is awesome.
That is the hugest room.
That is this
Do
bar
you
over
see the
there.
massive buffalo head on the wall?
That is killer.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
You just need some Star Trek stuff and some Star Wars stuff in there to nerd it up a little bit.
Well, it needs a fireplace and a couple of windows and a giant
Yeah.
kitchen, and it'll be
And-
half the size
And a
of
hairless
five
cat.
quarters.
A hairless
Yeah.
cat.
And it's got like a full bar area. You could live down here.
Yes. People are coming into the chat. You know, we got a few people in there that should probably acknowledge a few people. JT, our illustrious mod and big supporter of the podcast, is there. Thank you, JT. Anthony Mark, another supporter of ours. Anima, our 25 million time trivia
queen.
champion. Yeah, she's the trivia master. Don't ever go up against her on trivia, guys. She will destroy you without hesitation.
Although Danny's been talking some smack lately about Star Trek trivia against her.
I don't even see Danny, so you know I don't know what to say. Mr. Farnsworth is here. Joker Voice, another one of our mods. Welcome, guys. Kenny the Rope, Setlick 3 Gaming. Smud Boy is here. Hey, Smud, what's going on? Nice to see you guys. Mr. E. Clay Thomason as well. The chat keeps on growing. That's cool, man. We get to see some new people in here every week. What are we here to talk about this week, guys? We're here to talk about Star Trek Strange New Worlds, the finale episode of season 1. It's called Equality of Mercy. And I think we have some serious parallels, and they did have a lot of fun with Mr. Kadish's favorite episode, A Balance of Terror.
My favorite episode too of all time.
Yeah. Ironically enough, we just talked about that very episode on the podcast last week, completely by
It'll be
accident.
out this Tuesday, our review of it.
Yeah, that'll be fun. We do weekly science fiction shows for our patrons, and half of that show ends up on our public channel. Try to get some interest on there. So if you're interested in those, check out saltynerdclub.com. Of course, I'm going to plug that while we're here. But we're here to talk about Equality of Mercy, Strange New Worlds. And I just want to say, I'm going to start real quick. I thought this was a really good episode. In fact, I think this was my favorite episode of the entire season. Easily my favorite entire episode. In fact, I would probably go on to say this is probably the best episode of Star Trek that has been produced since the new Trek era has started. And that's my opinion. It's a very strong episode. That's not saying a whole lot because, you know, there's a lot of really terrible Star Trek that's been produced in the last few years since Discovery started. But I think it's apparent that there's at least some people in the writer's room here of this show that are Trekkies. They're Star Trek fans, and I think they want to at least attempt to bring us some entertaining Star Trek that is at least somewhat respectful of its past. What do you guys think? Matt, what are your thoughts?
So first of all, I'm still trying to figure out if Mike owes me $5 or not.
Oh, he already paid. Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I figured that while there was alternate reality shenanigans, they didn't do the alternate reality that I wanted, so I went ahead and paid.
Yeah. Well, I think last week you said that your theory was that they were going to establish that Strange New Worlds was in an alternate timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Right, which they did not do. They only showed that there were potential alternate timelines. So,
and can we all agree that time crystals are still fucking stupid?
They're stupid.
Yeah,
I hate them so much.
But
Yeah,
props to them for it's one of those things where they're working with what they got. They're working with the hand they were dealt, as opposed to just pulling something else out of their butt, and that's what you got to do. You work with the cards you were dealt, and so I'm glad that they're just doing that.
I'll say this about the episode: it was a very good episode, probably one of the best of the season. I liked the Elseworlds take on Balance of Terror.
Mm-hmm.
We see like how the different captaining styles of Pike and Kirk have like a major influence on galactic events. I kind of like that thing where it's like, yeah, Pike is cool, but he's not the right captain for like this scenario.
Right.
And one of the things I also like about this show, and this episode was written by Henry Alonzo Myers, I believe, who's like the showrunner of the show, and he's done a great job this season. I like that when time shenanigans happen, the person that it's happening to, he'll sit down, he'll tell other people like, hey, I'm time traveling right now. And other people are like, oh, okay. Because I hate it when episodes where like they hide the fact that they're time traveling because they're afraid to influence the events or like whatever. And so like it's like a secret that they have, and it would just like solve so many problems if they just told people, even if they didn't believe them. But so like I like that aspect of it. And it was fun because like we had just watched Balance of Terror for the podcast, and getting to see like the different like homages and changes that they made based off of like like the alternate timeline scenario. It was a lot of fun. It was. I loved seeing Captain Pike in like the old school Federation uniform from like the Star Trek movies. I liked the updated map of the neutral zone that we got from Balance of Terror. Everything about this episode was just great, except for Kirk.
Yeah.
Every time Soy Boy Kirk showed up on screen, I was like, this ain't Kirk.
Pencil neck.
Like the guy that they got to play Spock, he's grown on me. Okay, I don't think this Kirk's ever going to grow on me because he just doesn't have the machismo that Shatner does. And so like every time he was on screen, it really took me out of the episode. That's pretty much the only kind of complaint I could have about this episode was they got the wrong guy to play Kirk.
I have a complaint. My complaint is that Danny is late, but I'm going to let him come in anyway.
Hey, come on now.
Pretty typical stuff for Danny. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Good.
I can hear myself through your feed. That's a little weird.
Oh, sorry.
That are you trying to compete with Pike's hair with that thing on your upper lip? Is that what you're doing?
Oh, no. I'm trying to piss off Cece. That's all.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Throw it out.
Throw
it out. Be a man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
no, I was listening to. Yeah. Thank you. Good morning. I was listening to Kadish, and I feel like he and I are 100% on the same page with it.
I think you're gonna find out you're probably on the same page with most of us here.
Right on.
So yeah, I agree. I was gonna get to that later, but the Kirk casting. What's that guy's name?
Jim Carrey.
The guy who's playing Kirk. What I wrote it.
He does kind of look like Jim Carrey. I saw that on Twitter.
He's from Vampire Diaries.
Anyway, I thought the Captain Kirk casting was just way wrong. I did not.
Paul Wesley is his name.
Paul Wesley. Yeah, I thought that he did not even attempt to exude any kind of Shatner at all. Shatner is Kirk. And anytime I feel like somebody is going to portray that character on screen, they need to kind of try to channel a little bit of that.
Chris Pine did a good job of that.
Chris, I was just going to say that Chris Pine did a really good job.
I honestly don't
in
think
the Kelvin
Pine was
movies,
Kirk either.
but you know, I mean, people are going to say that about him as well, but he at least attempted to get some of that Kirk swagger in his performance. You know what I mean?
He tried to channel Shatner
a little bit. And, you know, I don't have to have a complete copy of Shatner, but I think Wesley should have at least attempted to pay homage to Shatner a little bit there. So
yeah. So we're gonna have to, every time he's on screen, just be like, "Shut up, Wesley."
Shut up, Wesley.
yeah.
He was just totally miscast. I mean, like physically, acting wise, the way he sounds, the way he talks. He just he didn't have that the charisma. He doesn't ooze the machismo of Shatner. You know, just
I might disagree with you guys on that one.
He didn't feel like Kirk at all. How so, Brian?
I think that what we saw was an alternate version of Kirk, where he's not around his normal bridge cast. Like the people around you and your experiences is what sort of shapes your personality, right? So what we saw was an alternate, and I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here. We saw an alternate version of Kirk. We saw a version of Kirk that had less.
Was never on the Enterprise.
He was never on the Enterprise. He probably had less trials and tribulations. No pun intended. He wasn't around his normal cast, his normal crew, Spock and Bones, and he is not the same. It's not the same exact person. It's the same person in name, but his personality should be slightly different. And seeing his personality now, do I think that the physical powers of this person was off? I mean, he does have that neck. And every time someone says Jim Carrey, now that's all I can see. But I believe that his personality is what we're complaining about the most here. And I think there's a reason for that. He's it's an alternate version of Kirk that has less, that doesn't have the same experiences as our Kirk. So if we actually see him next season and he has a different personality, don't be surprised.
I don't know.
Shock me at all.
Yeah, just this act. I don't know. I can't get around like you. I don't know if you got that from me or if we all just think the same thing about the guy. But pencil neck. I can't get past the pencil neck. He's just so.
In my little bit of research I've done and some of the other things I've seen, I think our disdain for this version of Kirk is pretty close to being universal. I haven't seen very many people that like this portrayal. Have you guys seen anybody that actually like this that weren't total shills for the show?
All the people who are saying that this paid homage to Discovery, they all love them. They're like, see how they tied in the time crystals with Strange New Worlds? It's so brilliant. It's masterful. I love it.
Someone said it pays homage. So the time crystal thing is so dumb, but I get it. They have to work with that. That's what they have to work with. But I'm so tired of it.
I love how they.
The time crystal thing from Discovery kind of is the basis for Pike's entire storyline that's going to play through this entire series run. So they kind of have to call back to it once in a while. You know.
Let me ask you guys this. Let me ask you guys this. So Future Pike left the time crystal behind. So does this mean that past Pike can now just touch the time crystal whenever he wants and see like a Elseworlds version of what's going to happen?
I didn't notice that. So is the time crystal behind?
Yeah, he has it in his office.
Oh wow!
So maybe
we special case, the anti-time case.
Instead of maybe getting a mirror universe episode once a season, we'll get a alternate timeline of an original series, an episode each year of. Maybe we'll get a Trouble with Tribbles episode.
I want a Doomsday Machine episode.
Maybe we'll get that. That would be pretty dope. I think.
Tomorrow's Enterprise.
Let me say this because I know we didn't really go all the way around the panel on the basic stuff, but I think that the main problem with this episode. I mean, I know we've been going off on Jim Carrey, but I don't think it's just the physicality of Wesley. I can get past that because it's like, people get, because Chris Pine, some people like him, some people don't, but he looks nothing like Shatner, right? He doesn't look anything like Captain Kirk. Nice. It's not about whether or not he looks like William Shatner. But I think that the problem with this episode, and I kind of liken this episode to going back to Wrath of Khan. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. This whole episode, I think, was very well written, but very horribly read, because it felt like the entire episode was rushed. Like except for Anson Mount, everybody, and I mean everybody, was reading their lines like they were desperately trying to get to the end of that line so the next person could start their line, so the next person could get to their line, so they could get to their line. And Kirk was no exception. There was no real emotion behind what they were saying. They were just reading their line so the next person could read their line, so the next person could read their line. And so there was no real depth to anybody. And so that goes to our regulars as well. I think that as much as I loved Ethan Peck as Spock, and throughout these last 9 episodes of Strange New Worlds, I've come to actually like Spock again. Spock, to me, in this one, didn't feel quite right. When he was reading a lot of those classic Spock lines, he just felt like Ethan Peck was reading lines. It didn't feel like Spock to me.
I feel like Ethan Peck was trying to portray Spock as Spock 7.5 years after the Spock that we're used to. It felt like his performance was a little more wooden, maybe, but I also felt like that was him playing a Spock who's more in control of himself at that moment.
His emotions.
It did not come off well.
So
I picked up on it, but
I got lucky because we Vader, you were in that stream, and we all ended up by chance watching Balance of Terror right before this came out, right? Because we were talking about it on Michael's show, which was awesome. And so I had just watched Balance of Terror, and I watched this episode, and then I set up this cool thing. You guys got to come over sometime. In my backyard, I've got a projector and like this huge, so I have like my own mini outdoor theater, which has been fun. And so I watched it again out there last night, and I love this episode, man. I love it.
Oh, visually, this is...
No, I mean, not just that. I mean, just everything. I mean, the only thing... I hate to rag on this guy, but the only thing I didn't like about it was Kirk. But everything else was like... was gold, man.
So real quick on that, there is a comment in here that I read the same exact article from Tiki Fire's Retro Clubhouse. What's up, man? He says, I read Wesley interview, and he said the next season's Kirk is going to be more like the one we're used to, and he's right. I mean, I don't see why that wouldn't be the case.
Yeah, because he really felt like, and he said he was filming just a couple of days after being hired, and it felt like it. Like it felt like there was no, he had just like, here's a script, now start working, because it didn't feel like there was any nuance to the role. It was just, hey, here's a script, have fun, and it felt like they didn't have time to really let this stew. And honestly, this should have been a 2-hour finale. This should not have been crammed into 48 minutes.
I agree. The first half felt a little rushed to me too. The first half.
And think about this, because you guys, and at least I know that the salty guys, you guys all watched Balance of Terror just before this. And Balance of Terror is a suspense episode. It's not an action piece. It's a suspense piece.
Right.
This was too fast paced. It would have been so nice if we had time for, to build up to, like, for Pike to be worried about when are things going to go wrong.
Well, I
think it was too quick.
I think that this was it was meant to have a different feel to it than the Balance of Terror episode.
Yeah.
And one of the things I really loved about this episode was the contrast we got between Pike and Kirk, where Kirk's a very, man of action type guy. Like, he breaks the rules, he goes with his gut. And with Pike, we're seeing like the optimistic, diplomat strategy where, like, he's trying to reach out to the Romulans. He's trying to build bridges, and he's trying to, like, open lines of communication. And it was the entirely wrong tack. Now, normally, like, that Captain Picard strategy would be the thing that they advocate in this in Star Trek, right? But in this scenario, Kirk's kind of like, we got to show strength by, like, soundly defeat, like strength through victory type thing. That was the absolute right way to go in this scenario. And it was really interesting to see like the contrast between Pike and Kirk throughout the episode. And I think one of the reasons why it wasn't that kind of like run silent, run deep, tension filled, like, strategy game is simply because Pike is a completely different captain in this scenario. And so like he wasn't going to play that game.
But they did do the match them move for move thing, but like for like 30 seconds before they go to the comet. It's
well,
like
that was also Kirk's idea.
Yeah.
Well, no, I know it was Kirk's idea, but like in Balance of Terror, there was a lot more to that before they got to the comet.
Well,
in this, it's like, oh, look, they blew up the station and there's a comet. And it's like, okay, wow.
Yeah, but it also worked differently this time because of the decisions made. Like, so in Balance of Terror, the Romulans go through the comet and they're able to track him, and that's how Kirk's able to start shooting at him. Whereas this one, they got tricked, and they were the only ones that went through the comet, so it kind of worked the opposite way.
No, they did the exact same. The Romulans did the exact same thing that the Romulan commander did the exact same maneuver that he was planning on doing in Balance of Terror. It's just that Kirk wasn't in the Enterprise this time,
right?
Which
was very.
But remember, like they didn't. They were like, he should be right there. We can't see him, in this episode. Whereas in Balance of Terror, he was there. Did anybody else? I do want to say, because I missed the beginning. I don't know if you guys did the overall around thoughts. I'm so sorry. I was 10 minutes late. Did anybody else notice when they did the music, they did the Balance of Terror music cue? That was so awesome. Like little things like that, and then the lighting. It was like little, like with the eyes.
Oh yeah,
like
visually,
little things like that.
Yes, very.
There
very
was
cool.
there was a lot of really cool little callbacks to Balance of Terror. Even when Pike kind of warped into the episode when he's sitting up there doing the wedding.
And he's like,
yeah. When you flash back to the original episode and you see it and they compare it, it's kind of neat how they do it.
Did not catch. Somebody pointed out that it was, and this time it was Angeline, not Tomlinson, that died at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole Elseworlds thing, right? There's parallels, but there's differences, and I thought that was really kind of neat how they did that.
I just wonder
if Scotty in this episode.
Yes, we did. Yes, I mean, we got to hear him anyway.
I wonder if Tomlinson's getting together with Rodriguez in the next week.
Well, see,
on the shore leave
planet. That's what I was about to say. I was like, I was like, how beat up was it? Like her fiance dies, and then like next episode she's walking around with some other dude.
I thought it was kind of interesting how they kind of inserted some of the regulars from this show into the episode. They had Ortegas playing.
I did not like Ortegas as Styles.
Oh, as the racist, that was so out of character.
Yeah, it was a little weird, right?
Yeah.
But
it was a lot weird. Like, she's been friends with Spock for 7 to 10 years at that point, and then all of a sudden she's gonna, like, I don't know, man. That just, they should have had the other character, Mitchell, because we don't really know a lot about her. That would have been a lot easier for me to digest. That was actually okay. I keep looking at this episode through rose-colored glasses, and not just Kirk. The Ortegas thing is probably another beef I have with this episode.
That's what I think. I think like it seemed like the production of this episode felt kind of rushed. Like, I don't know why, but this episode, more than anything else from this whole season, felt like this episode, the production, like this must have been a season 2 episode that they then pushed out hard to get it into season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, is this any better, Brian? I'm sorry, I just saw your message.
A little better, yes, sir.
I'm trying to adjust some settings, so just let me know.
Because I mean, maybe they just saw, hey, man, this is going to be such an awesome story. We want to get this as a season finale or something. Because
it also dealt with Pike's main storyline. Like, we got Captain Hottie McHotterson come back, Captain Booty Call.
Yeah.
And that ties into the season premiere. And his whole thing about, like, can I change my fate? Yes, I can, but should I? So now the question is not whether he can, but whether or not he should.
So are we gonna, we're kind of all over the place.
I know.
Are we gonna,
Well, that's because Kadish is making me kind of run things, but I'm not very good at it.
Stop saying that. You're just
No,
fine.
I'm not. I'm not a host. I'm a color guy. But I know, where were we at, Brian? I haven't heard much from you today. These other two guys have been talking a lot. What are your overall thoughts on this thing, man? Fill us in. What's going on?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I do feel like the first half felt a little rushed, but I get it. They had to get to the good stuff. I don't understand why we have these arbitrary times in place for TV shows now, especially when they're all streaming. We don't have to be. It doesn't have to be around an hour. It can be an hour and a half.
I can answer that, Brian, because it is actually broadcast in some markets, like in Canada.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, then it should have been a two-parter, I guess.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Because this could have been a two-parter easily, and it would have been more fleshed out, and probably the pacing would have been better. Great episode. Yeah. Awesome. The second I saw the lighting on the face, that cinematography, and the way they sort of that sort of homage to the old 60s style suspense, I was like, oh my God, it's bound to tell it.
Yeah.
Right away. And I was like, this is going to be brilliant. And it was a really cool Elseworlds kind of thing. I loved all the little tiny details that they filled in. Like when they first called the outpost, it looked like someone took that shot and just recreated it frame by frame.
Mm-hmm.
And
there
cool.
were so many little things like that, like the map.
Yeah,
it was just an updated version of the.
Yeah, the updated map was awesome. Yeah. I want that on my wall.
That would be a cool poster.
Yeah, it would be a cool poster. I might have to do that.
It's got to be backlit too.
Dark Knight. Let's talk about that later on. I need your help. Recreating that.
Okay.
I want one, Brian.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna recreate that. And we'll put it on the Salty Nerd store for you guys.
Nice.
But then also, like, the Bird of Prey was great. I was actually annoyed at first. I was like, you know what? They didn't have the balls to paint that stupid bird on the bottom of the ship.
I remember you saying that. I'm like, bro, they have it on there.
But then, frame by frame, I'm watching through it, and you see the shadow of the bird, and you're like, oh, they had the balls to do it. And they did it in a way that wasn't like gaudy or cheesy or whatever. But it was still there. So they did a really, really good job. Overall, I do wish the pacing was a little better. I like the way Spock was actually more wooden. I like he was more. I think Ethan Peck was like, "Yo, this is Spock in TOS. I need to amp up the logic a little bit." It worked. Yeah, I didn't like Ortega's. I thought Ortega's was like uselessly racist, but I guess he's just sort of channeling that other guy from the original show.
Yeah, Styles.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
I get that, but that doesn't make it. They should have had some. They should have had the Asian girl do that. Yeah,
Mitchell.
Or
they should have just had Styles there. Why not just have a guy and just have Styles there?
Right?
Yeah, have Styles sitting next to Ortegas or something.
Yeah,
I guess Ortegas would follow. A lot of times, a crew follow their captain.
Have Ortegas sit there, call him a dick right there on the bridge. Yeah. That would be perfect.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, consider this. Like a lot of the times, the crew around you is going to be determined by the captain. Mm-hmm. So like a crew might come and go depending on the captain that they're serving with. Mm-hmm. So I can totally see how Ortegas is there, but Ortegas shouldn't have been the racist one because she has like been the plucky comedy relief the whole season,
right?
And she's known Spock now for 7.5 years plus, and all of a sudden she's like, "You bastard!" And you're like, "Whoa, bro." So
didn't they finally give that Asian helmsman a name?
Mitchell.
Right.
Yeah, her name's Mitchell.
Yeah. So either they should have had Mitchell do it because we don't know her and we don't know her personality.
Mitchell, or I like the idea that Mike just mentioned, or why not have Ortegas in her normal seat and have Styles there? It's 7 years later. I mean, like, they have shift rotations.
That would have been cool if they had an actual guy named Styles sitting there. That would have been okay.
I would have actually gotten Harry Styles to do that role. Would have been perfect. But yeah, overall it was great, man. It was an amazing season finale, and aptly, scored for us. It did, and at the end of our podcast score, it had the highest score, and had the highest audience score we had throughout the entire season. So it's not just like subjectively, oh, it was better, but like objectively, just using our scoring system, it scored the highest, and I do believe it was the best episode of the season.
Oh yeah, I'm just curious because I think I had to dip out early. What was the audience score on that one?
18.5.
Nice. Yeah. See,
And by the way, props to the VFX artists for the Farragut getting punched in the face.
Oh,
Wow,
oh my god, yeah,
that was just such an incredible shot right there.
That was cool.
I thought it was interesting how they just put Lon in. They inserted her in there because they needed to have the cast members in just these random
well,
spots.
it warmed my heart to see her not being such a cold bitch. You know,
Yeah,
like,
same thing with Chapel. You know, she was barely in this thing, but she had to come in at the end to you know mourn.
she looked good in the blue.
over
I like
She
that.
did look
Yeah.
good.
You just think she looks good.
I think
Yeah,
she does.
she does. She does.
Yeah.
Look good.
All the females on Strange New Worlds are
Yeah.
are good
Oh,
looking.
I love Uhura's how she had the
It's
classic TOS outfit,
Uhura.
but her
Will you
hair,
stop saying Uhura?
Yeah, it's
Uhura,
not
whatever.
Uhura.
Her hair's was wrong though. They should have had her hair different. Like, you know, it was past time.
I want to ask you guys. There were some changes that they made. Of course, you know, the crew members and stuff. But there was things like, you know, Commander Hansen on Starbase 4. He's not an old white guy anymore. Now he's
Right.
an old Indian guy named Hansen El Salah. You know,
Which, yeah, I was like,
is
wait a
that
minute.
weird? Is that weird? Is that strange? Is that a weird insert? You know,
Yeah, that felt weird to me because that means that so in the original, he was just like hailing people. Hey, this is Commander Hansen. That would be like if I was on subspace going, hey, this is Commander Michael. That's
You
what he
know,
was doing.
I feel like when people want to complain about, you know,
that was weird.
representation and all this kind of stuff in these new things, it didn't bother me a whole lot. I'm not going to say it bothered me, but it is there. It is something that we probably should touch on.
Yeah, we should. You know why?
Hold on, Danny. Give me a second. Okay. And there was I noticed that in a lot of this new trick, like we'll just say let's touch on the woke stuff that's in this series just really briefly. You know, it has been implied that there could be a bit of a relationship between number one and was it Lon in that episode a little bit. There was a lot of representation of multicultural representation on the Romulan bridge. Lot of African Romulan representation. That was a little kind of odd, you know, but I mean, it didn't bother me. I don't care. It's been established that there's other races and Vulcans and Romulans and everything. It just seemed like it was really kind of boom, put there in front of your face. Here's these two big, tall African Romulans sitting there flanking the commander.
Right, like they were sitting there staring at you like, what?
It's like we're black, motherfucker. And
I just want to interject with
that's kind of how it came off.
Yeah, real quick statement. So we got 44 people watching right now, only 24 likes. Please hit that like button. But if we want to pump these numbers up to like it's been in the day, we got to stop blowing this show, man. We got to pour the salt. So I like this transition. Start telling your friends we're about to pour the salt. Get them in here.
So anyway, I do notice that there is this kind of stuff in this show. It doesn't bother me a whole lot, but does it bother you guys when you see this kind of like inserted weirdness that's only,
not? I'll say this, like, here's what bothered me about Hansen. It didn't bother me that they changed him. What bothered me was that they had to make his first name Hansen.
Yeah.
You know, like don't bother. They just say it's a different guy. You know, it's like it's an alternate timeline. Who cares if it's a different guy at Outpost 4?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't bother me that in this timeline there's another guy at Outpost 4.
So here's just really quickly. Here's what I feel with Strange New Worlds. You can tell that they're kind of inserting some of this stuff that some of these woke SJW people that are in charge want, but I don't feel how I feel when I'm watching something like Discovery, where I feel like I'm getting hammered with their progressive messaging. I feel like they're kind of putting it in there because they're being forced to, but it's not the focus of the episode.
It's way more subtle, right?
It's way more subtle, and it doesn't bug me when they do it as much. You know, even the lesbian thing between Una
none of that bugs me.
Was super subtle. It was just a one little throwaway line that they had in the middle of that stupid fairy tale episode that I didn't like. But that wasn't the reason I didn't like it. But it's there, and it just that's the difference between these two shows. And people are all like, you know, I'm not gonna watch this stupid, strange new worlds, and it's because it's just woke garbage, you know. And then they spout all this stuff, and they've never even seen these episodes.
If somebody
You know
wants to go off on the if somebody wants to go off on the show because the bridge crew doesn't have enough men to women ratio, or that there's too many people of one race over another, then all I can say is F you, you got the wrong priorities, because the show is good, the stories are good, the characters are interesting, and you are just being exactly what the crazies on the other side of the fence are accusing you of being. Because you know, you got to watch the stupid show before you can judge it and say it's bad.
100% agree.
You know, so, and the show is good. I'm sorry, the show is good. It doesn't matter that the show has a lot of women and a lot of people of different walks of life on it. The show is good.
Woman,
not women.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, maybe that's why they didn't have Styles on the bridge. They had to keep their woman quota. So I'm sitting here thinking, what other like woke stuff
there's not a lot
in here? Yeah,
there's not a lot.
Okay,
No, it's just, I mean, yes, there's a lot. There's a high percentage of women, and there's a high percentage of representation, but at the same time, in theory, you know, if you look at the history of Trek has always had, you know, except for ironically, you know, Gene Roddenberry's The Cage, the only Trek that he was really directly responsible for casting, which had an all-white cast, but Trek has always had a very high representation quotient.
Sure.
You know, and so as far as against the norm of its day, you know,
I laughed because there was that one scene at the end of this episode where the Romulan commander is sitting on his ship right before.
Yeah, that was kind of funny because it's like I'm being flanked
by these two tall African-American Romulans, and they're staring at the camera, and it's like, deal with it. And that's
it's funny because you know, here's how funny that was. So I'm sitting there watching with my wife. My wife is black, and we get to that shot, and she was like, "Oh, there's black Romulans now." And so I was like, "I guess there are." You know,
I mean, I just go, well, Tuvok. You know, okay. Big deal. You know, it doesn't bother me.
I mean,
I didn't even notice
horror movie.
The funny thing.
It's the horror movie trope, right? Yeah. Where it's like the black guys always die.
Right.
You know, when one of you guys was like, "Oh yeah, so it's a lot of women and it's diverse," I'm like, "That's how I like it." Right there.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take a more women to men ratio. I mean, that's that. If I was Pike,
put me on that starship.
Yeah, put me in that starship.
Hell yeah.
My odds are real good.
So can we talk about
podcast?
Go ahead, man.
Can we talk about what happened with Una in this episode?
Oh yeah.
The big cliffhanger.
So I was gonna, let me touch on that really quick. So one of the things I like about this episode or about this series is that each episode is a canned episode for the most part, but they also have these ongoing storylines that go through the entire series. You know, I listed a couple of them here really quick. So of course we have Pike in his future being the main ongoing storyline that they touch on. They had the Dr. Mbenga's daughter thing, which they wrapped up really quick. I thought they did that too soon. I wish they could have carried that on.
I'm so glad they wrapped that up.
You know, they set up Spybok for future episodes. Spock's brother. I'm looking forward to that. Spock's ongoing struggles with his half human, half Vulcan self. You know, that's kind of an ongoing theme. But we also have, like Matt said, number one in her Illyrian, what's the word I'm looking for? Her dishonesty,
her augmentations,
her genetic manipulations, like the Illyrians do. And for some reason, Starfleet is anti augmenting yourself for some reason, which seems very strange to me. But
the Enterprise episodes augments kind of ties into that.
Is it augments or is it enhancement? I don't know. It just
no. The name of the episode was the augments, wasn't it?
Right, but any kind of genetic augmentation is illegal.
Okay, so but I think it's neat how they kind of cliffhangered us on that one, and we all know she's not going to go anywhere. Probably season 2, probably second or third episode, they're going to have some kind of trial episode, some kind of drumhead episode or something where we're going to get the Pike's going to come in and do a really heartfelt long case why would they should be there. And
can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
Why would it be different when in the alternate timeline, like she's been in jail for 7 years, because
she got arrested just before, right after 7.5 years ago, before Pike, right after Pike.
Yeah, but wouldn't Pike have still, because up to that point they're the same, wouldn't that Pike have tried whatever he's going to try? I mean, I don't know. I hope they have a good explanation.
That's an alternate timeline. This is and the story set in the not alternate one. So we know she's not going to go anywhere. They're going to give us some kind of I don't know. I think it makes lesson about how genetic manipulation is okay.
Yeah. I just think it makes perfect sense because she disappears and never to be heard from again after that one episode she's in the original series.
It could just be a negotiation tactic because she's too expensive.
The actress, you mean like in real life?
Yeah. I mean, let's just being realistic. I mean, playing devil's advocate and everything. Keep in mind that Rebecca has not been in. I mean, she's been sidelined in several episodes.
She hasn't really been used that much. Yeah.
She's only been in brief scenes in a lot of episodes. And I'm wondering how much of that is contractual. How much is she said, look, I'm not working full time. And if that's the case, if she wants a part-time job, but at a starring role's wages, this could be contract negotiations by the studio. They could be saying, okay, look, here's the deal. You either work full-time or you're gonna, your character is going to repente.
So they're pulling something like they did with Gates McFadden. Is that what
it could be. I mean, quite frankly,
I don't feel that way because they set this storyline up in the second episode or third episode of the season.
I actually feel like this storyline gives them a lot more leeway to do more interesting stuff with the character than they previously had, because she was just kind of there in the background when they needed her. And with this, it actually kind of puts her at the forefront of a lot of interesting possibilities, I think.
Or just gives them an excuse to get rid of her because everybody knew that she had to be there, but then they didn't know what to do with her. And so maybe the whole point was to kind of just set this up so La'an could be the first officer.
Yeah, I know. I see an episode next season similar to the one where Picard had to defend Data, and so that he got the
measure of a woman.
It was a measure, yeah.
Oh no, the episode would be called "What Is a Woman?"
No one knows.
That just seems like a very Star Trek thing.
Matt Walsh is the prosecutor trying to put her away.
Yeah. So, man, I'm running out of notes, Matt.
So there is something I wanted to talk about.
Okay,
Orville.
No. It's still about Strange New Worlds.
We're not talking
about
it.
So at the end of the episode, it was implied that future Pike used the time crystal to Doctor Strange his way through multiple different timelines to see if there was a way where he could save himself and stop the war and all this other stuff. And he basically told his past self, in every time I change something bad always happens to Spock. And he is far too important for the future to have something bad happen to him.
Right.
And so Spock is now the nexus being of the Star Trek universe, where he's just the most important character ever. And anything bad that happens to him affects the entire future of Star Trek. And I thought that was a little bit frustrating, in my opinion, because number one, if you just need one time crystal to see every eventuality, how it's all going to end up, then they should be passing those out to every captain in Starfleet to touch before they go on a mission to see what they're going to be up against. But in addition to that, I feel like it also kind of negates Kirk's role in a lot of the stuff that we saw, and Bones' role as well. to say that Spock is the most important character. So I just wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on like the whole, like Spock being a Nexus being type thing.
I mean, I don't really have a huge issue with it simply because it's set up that Spock is, a major player in the Romulan Vulcan unification, and I kind of think that's kind of what they're referring to. I didn't really see him as being a Nexus being like you're talking about, but I feel like he knows that he's an important character in the future.
I think it's because Spock is not only Pike's right hand, he's Kirk's right hand, and he's he is the key to reunification.
Yeah, I was about to say
Spock is probably the single most influential person of the 23rd and 24th centuries. Not to mention, without Spock, what happens to the whole supernova, red matter, crazy.
Oh, don't talk about the Kelvin timeline. Come on.
No, I'm not talking about the Kelvin timeline. I'm talking about that whole situation post. I'm not even with the branching timeline, but with the synth rebellion and all that crap that happens in Picard and stuff. Spock needs to basically prevent the complete destruction of Romulus, or of the Romulan Empire, so they can evacuate as much as they can.
Well, but here's the thing, though. So, like that Spock that we're all talking about, he was forged by his friendship with Kirk and McCoy.
Sure.
Like without those two, we would never have gotten that Spock. Right.
Also, Pike, future Pike in the Monster Maroon uniform, which he looked so good in, by the way.
He did. He looked really good.
He specifically mentions
he had the hair.
He specifically mentions that Spock, the TNG episode Unification, that Spock plays a key role in unifying the the Romulans, to for a longer lasting peace. And that's why he was like this. We're talking end of the world type stuff. So.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just going to say, so it didn't bother me, I guess, as much as it bothered Kadish that they treated him like a Nexus being or whatever, because Spock is a very important character, and you remove that chess piece early on, and I can see it unraveling a lot of the future. So,
But I mean, my whole point was that anytime Pike tried to fix things so that he could survive along with everyone else, Spock was always the sacrificial lamb. Like something bad always happened to Spock, except if Pike basically lets himself.
Yeah, I hate that. I don't buy that. I heard you meant the Doctor Strange reference. It's like, really? There's only one way Spock doesn't die? I mean, so I do kind of agree with that. But I enjoyed the episode so much I was able to suspend my disbelief.
Here's a complaint that I have that I feel like they're doing. I feel like they're playing really fast and loose with the Vulcan mind meld. I feel like every time they need Spock to be on the same page, they go, "Well, just mind meld with me."
He did treat it a lot more serious.
So I want to know what Brian's thoughts are on the overuse of the Vulcan superpowers. Do you have any thoughts on that, Brian?
I said a similar thing on my show yesterday. I was like, they are really overusing the mind meld, but in this instance, I feel like, how else could you have gotten Spock up to speed in the amount of time you needed him to be up to speed?
Yeah.
And this is probably why it felt so rushed. Like maybe you need a two-parter. Maybe you need to develop, literally dedicate 10, 15 minutes to convincing Spock about what's going on.
Just mind meld with me. I'm telling you, just mind meld.
Right. I want to know why they couldn't have used Spock to telepathically communicate with the Romulan commander, since they are, ancestors, offshoots of.
No.
Are we talking about some Professor X type stuff?
Where they just like use their telepathy powers, the Vulcans do.
No, Romulans don't
communicate across time and space.
Romulans only have latent abilities. They when they left the teachings of Serac, they also left behind.
They don't have the discipline to.
Well, Michael Burnham's a human. She was able to do it.
Yeah, but that's because Michael Burnham.
Stop bringing up Michael Burnham.
Terrible.
But Michael Burnham can do anything.
Yeah,
this is true.
She is the Nexus being.
She is woman. Hear her roar.
She
She's the
is
Nexus
Mary
being.
Sue. She's the ultimate Mary Sue.
Absolutely.
I like the idea, by the way, of Spock being important because Spock is important.
He is
right?
Yeah.
important.
To
Yes.
our version of canon and to what we grew up watching, Spock was always an integral part of
Right.
multiple series and multiple like important events in history. So
Right.
it makes sense that Spock is.
I mean, what
The
did
Nexus
Kirk?
being.
What did Kirk do for the next gen? He died on a bridge.
He died
Yep.
twice in that movie.
You
Terrible.
know,
Right. So what's the point there?
Yeah.
He didn't do much. He just died, right? But Spock went on to do to deal with like the unification,
Mhm.
and later on to save Romulus. Like a big portion of what Spock's life, was him going through various points in history and making changes.
Mhm.
Well, if you think
So-
about it, he was also key to the peace with the Klingons because he voluntold Kirk,
he brokered the
and
peace
bingo.
with the Klingons.
in Undiscovered Country
Yeah.
to like,
So the entire Klingon, the entire Klingon alliance that we see in TNG wouldn't have happened without Spock. And so I think that we really underestimate the power that Spock has.
Worf
over the
never
history of the
serves on the Enterprise if it's not for Spock. If you think about it, in a
Mhm.
Yeah, so
roundabout way.
technically Spock is, at least in our version of canon, the way we want to see it, Spock is one of the most important
Kirk
characters.
might be the greatest hero of the Federation as far as like he's just he's awesome, but Spock is, as far as historically, he's the most important person.
Right.
So I'm going to shift.
It's the bald head. He looks like a mastermind super villain.
He's like he's
in the middle of the screen. He's like,
Yes. All right. So listen, I think we all can agree that this was a very good episode.
Mhm.
But I want to shift the chat a little bit. I want to talk about your guys' thoughts since this was the season finale. What are your thoughts on the season 1 as a whole? So, I want a grade for the entire season, not one episode, but just like a score, whatever scale you want. Give me a score for the season and your general thoughts. I'm going to start with Matt. Go ahead.
see, you're a great host, Vader. What are you talking about?
All right. So after multiple dismal seasons of Discovery and Picard, I feel like we're finally back on track for good Star Trek with Strange New Worlds. Like, this was an absolute joy. I know it wasn't for everyone. Not every episode was perfect, but it was a fun show. I could sit there, turn my brain off, enjoy it for what it was, and get that Star Trek feeling. Like we're on the podcast, we're rewatching the original series right now. And this does a great job of capturing the vibe of the original series. It's like, it's a fun space adventure with fun characters that you enjoy spending time with. They're not trying to propagandize. They're not trying to preach to you. It's just like a fun adventure of the week with in a universe that I love to visit. And so in that respect, this is the Star Trek we've been wanting for like years, ever since Enterprise went off the air. And they're finally giving it to us. Now, it's not perfect, but at least they're trying. Like, it shows that they're listening and they want to give the fans what they want. I think Henry Alonso Myers has done a fantastic job this season of getting away from Akiva Goldsman and Alex Kurtzman directives and giving the fans what they want. And so I can't point to a single episode this season that I can say like, oh, this was a bad episode. There's ones that I like more than others, but like overall, every episode's been very congruent and very good. And so I'd give this entire season overall an A, not an A plus, but an A. And I think that it was definitely worth watching, and I can't wait for season 2.
All right, so Matthew Kadish is using the school grade scale. Let's go down to you, Danny. What are your thoughts on season 1?
So, I loved it. There was only one episode that I just didn't absolutely love, and that was the Serene Squall, which we had all talked about already. And it should have been more than 10 episodes. Those are my only 2 complaints. That's it. So if I had to, I guess I would give it a 9 out of 10, which technically I guess is probably an A, like Matt. So I'm probably on the same page. Yeah, I'm on the same page as Matt with this season. It's not wasn't a 10 for 10. I think it was a 9 out of 10. And God, I mean, and I can't hurt it for not having more episodes. That's just me being selfish. I just really wish they had
10 episodes seems really short, right?
Yeah.
They could not even 12.
On a number scale, I give it an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Michael.
I thoroughly enjoyed this first season. I've been a Star Trek fan since the late 1960s. I love Star Trek. I was born and raised on Star Trek. My mom was part of the letter writing campaign to keep Star Trek on the air for season 2 and season 3 of the original series. And this is the Star Trek I've been wanting for as far back as I can remember. So I can honestly say that I think that this is the strongest start of a Star Trek series I think ever. And I know that that's a ballsy thing to say because there's been some great Star Trek shows, but I mean, if you look at all the other shows, almost all of them have had some serious misfires in those opening seasons. And there really, there was, like you said, there were some episodes, obviously you can't say, that all the episodes had the exact same score. So some of them are going to be better than others, but none of them were bad. Some of them were, there were some that I was like, you had your episodes that were epic, and then you had some episodes that were just good, but none of them were episodes that you were like, oh, that was bad.
Right.
None of them were episodes that you were just like, oh gosh, I'm embarrassed that one was on. And certainly none of them were episodes like the kind of crap that we got out of Discovery or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So a solid A for this season. My only complaint, no, you use the A, you use the out of 10. So I am going to use a clear salt and pepper hairstyle out of salt and pepper hairstyle grade.
So a 9-inch Pike Koof.
That is a full 9.5-inch Pike hair. 9.5 Pike hair.
9.5 Pike hairs. Okay, really quick before we move on to Brian. We got a $2 super chat from JT, our mod and show supporter. I know he just watched the entire series this week because we've been talking about it in Discord. You guys can go to saltinerdiscord.com and join that. It's open to everybody. But JT said, I had fun with the show. Thank you for suggesting it. And JT, thanks for being there for us, buddy. Thank you for the $2. Brian.
He made me think of a question. Could I ask it real quick?
Yeah, real quick. Go ahead.
Okay. So can any of you think of any other Star Trek show where the first 10 episodes are as good as these?
That's why I said this is the best.
No, I know,
of any show.
I know you said that. I just wanted to pose the question.
I personally really enjoyed it. Next Generation went to the African planet. That was one of my favorite. Part of any episode.
But let me say this: when I think JT nailed it. The word of this season was fun.
Fun. Yeah.
And that's something we haven't been able to link to Star Trek in a very long time.
All right, Brian, what are your overall thoughts in season 1?
Yeah, let me just I'll let Wesley speak for me.
Can't hear it.
Yeah, we can't.
I'm kidding. That's not true. That's not
well,
true.
We couldn't hear it anyway, so.
Oh, too bad. No, that was him just talking about things that are
shut up, Wesley.
Fisting his childhood. No, listen, I loved it. And I can't remember another Star Trek series that where the first 10 episodes were as enjoyable and entertaining as this was. I did not like the Serene Squall.
Yeah.
No, that week was a rough week for me. I didn't get anything out of it. I loved the Cybok reveal, but pretty much the entire episode was just not good. And I don't like the new character they brought in. I thought they are a bad
in the
actor.
show, she in real life.
Okay, so thank you. She's a bad actor. Thank you. See, I don't even know.
I know you've struggled with that, so I just wanted to help.
She's not a good actor, and I feel like she was probably cast because of her identity and not because of her ability, and that's always a bad thing. You should never cast someone because of their identity. You make sure that the ability is the most important thing, and then you can work on identity. So I don't think she was very good. That whole episode, feel like it didn't really matter. You can actually cut that episode out of the season and feel nothing and lose nothing. So if that's the case, then yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 because 9 out of the 10 episodes were rock steady, and only one I feel was below average.
Hey Brian, have you heard about the Cybok rumor?
No, oh no. I'm afraid of what you're about to say next. See, first of all, you're looking down on me as if you're gonna you're about to monologue about your destruction of Superman. But additionally,
is that better?
Additionally, the way you said that was, is Cybok gonna be like a trans person, or maybe he's gonna be like?
No. So, do you know the actor Sam Witwer?
No.
He was on Being Human. He's the Star Killer from the Star Wars: The Force Unleashed.
Oh yes,
he does a lot of voice work for Star Wars.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
he's been online petitioning to play Cybok.
That would be amazing because I love that guy. And in The Force Unleashed, which is the game he did the voice work for, right? I remember thinking how perfect he would make a Star Trek character, because like his whole vibe has this sort of like he would be an amazing Star Trek villain. Because
you talking about the dude from Supergirl?
He was in Superman too. He plays Doom. He played Doomsday in Smallville.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I'm thinking of it.
He looks
like a Vulcan. Yeah.
He also played like a nurse, and he can definitely play a villain with with multiple dimensions. That would be sick. And you know what? That's a good idea. They didn't show Cybok, so they don't have to cast him yet.
All right.
Where did that rumor come from, Kadish?
Well, the actors on Twitter actively, tagging Star Trek and being like, "Hey, cast me as Cybok."
Oh, that'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. Because whoever they cast as Cybok needs to be able to show multiple dimensions to their character. Then it can't just be a one-tracked villain like, I hate Spock, therefore I am evil. No, there's got to be multiple layers to this.
Yeah,
well, he doesn't hate Spock,
whatever. I hate logic, or I hate whatever.
He loves his brother. In fact, he tries to drag his brother to
which
his
is why
side.
I said it's got to have multiple dimensions. It can't be a simple villain. It can't. You know what? Sorry to say for all the Marvel fanboys out there, it can't be a Marvel villain. Most Marvel villains are just like that.
Well, have you seen Thor? Because this new villain is
no, Gore is sick. No, yeah. Christian Bale killed it. That was amazing.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, most Marvel villains are very one-dimensional.
Yes.
All right. So I want to just really quickly say, okay, so Cybok's coming back. That's going to be pretty cool. But my grade, I'm going to give season 1 a 7 out of 10. And I know it's a little more critical than you guys. That's still, I think, is a pretty fair score.
I mean, for you, that's like 11.
And the reason being, I did not like every single episode. I did not think is it the Shireen Squall? Is that the pirate one?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought that was a bad episode. I did not like the fairy tale episode with Mbega's daughter.
Kingdom. That's funny. Those were back to back.
Yeah, they were. I thought it was just a rushed, weird episode that they just used to get rid of that storyline, which I actually kind of thought, like I said, they should have stretched out a little bit more. And I also really did not dislike, the more I think about it, last week's episode with the Alien and Predator ripoff stuff just is bullshit. That was a terrible episode. It was just nonsense. So, but my grading scale, that still leaves 7 at good episodes that I liked out of 10. So, and that's how I'm going to grade it. I'm going to go 7 out of 10. So, and I'm going to leave it at that. I think that's just where I'm going to land. If that gives it a C or whatever, fine. I think I don't like it. I don't like it when these writers just blatantly rip off other IPs.
Yeah,
it was silly.
I was
the
talking
Gorn are a huge miss with this season.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was talking to a lifelong friend of mine I've known since high school. Before I met you guys and got to do this, we would talk on the phone and pretty much do the exact same thing about Star Trek. And so yesterday we talked for the first time in a few months. You know, talked about a lot of personal stuff. By the way, everybody, 18 days today. So
good for you.
And thank you. And so we talked about that, and then we talked about Strange New Worlds, and he's always tagging me in ridiculous Star Trek stuff on Facebook, and we agreed. Episode 9. Well, we kind of agreed. I thought episode 7, Serene Squall, was the weakest, and he thought episode 9, All Those Who Wander, the ripoff episode, was the weakest. But I was like, well, those are my 2 least favorite. Those are the only 2 episodes.
Yeah.
If I had to, I mean, I still liked elements of it, so I can't say I didn't like it. They were my 2 least favorite.
Right.
Everything else I liked. I actually liked the Elysium Kingdom. I remember
and that's fine. You know, and real quick, you know, it's quite apparent by reading the chat and the comments that we get on our videos and all this kind of stuff. It's like, listen, guys, I understand and I get that people aren't going to like a lot of this stuff, and that's completely your option. You know, but just don't be one of those people that hate on this without watching it, because there's a lot of these people out there that haven't seen these episodes, and they do nothing but sit there and they bitch and they moan and they complain
it's nonstop
about these episodes. It's bullshit. Don't judge something. Don't judge something if you haven't fucking seen it.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it.
If you haven't seen it and you're still going to sit there and bitch, shut up, because I don't care.
And you got to watch it.
And your opinion doesn't matter if you're just going to sit there and toe the line that somebody told you on a YouTube video. Okay. Yeah. And I'm just tired of that. And it really annoys me. And, but anyway, if you have seen it and you still don't like it, I respect you. I respect that.
Fine.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's really all I'm going to say. That being said, I think it's probably about time we get this wrapped up. We don't have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about left. I want to thank the chat and for being here. I want to thank all these guys that have been here all season long. I want to thank our mods for coming in. This is the kind of the end of this type of it's our last Star Trek show with this group. That's all I can really say.
Yeah. So what are we doing on Saturdays now?
So we're going to be changing the format. Next week we're going to be doing some different things. We're going to be introducing some new people into the panel, and that's all.
They don't want us back. That's what they're saying.
No, it's not what I'm saying at all. But things are going to be a little bit different going forward, and tune in next week to see what we're going to do. But that being said, let's go around the panel one more time, and Danny, let's start with you. Where can we find you? What are you up to? And what's going on?
So right here at Dork Knight LV on Twitter, you can find me on the Salty Nerd Discord.com. I try to remain pretty active in there. I didn't know you were. I thought you were taken off, so I didn't know. So I'm actually doing.
Matt won't let me.
Okay, so I'm doing another. Because I haven't heard anything, so I'm assuming I'm not a part of the new thing. So on Saturdays at the same time, I will be on the Pop Culture Minefield up until whenever you guys ask me back on Saturdays, is what I told them, because I thought you were taking a little break. So you guys can find me there. Thursday nights with this guy over here. We are going to continue to torture ourselves talking about the Orville until that's done, and that's 6 p.m.
You guys are brave.
I know, right? The last episode was good until the last 17 minutes, and then Obi-Wan level meltdown pissed me off. But anyway, so that's 6 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday nights. We'll be doing that, and you know, I keep working with the podcast on different things. Whenever they need me to guest, I guest. Whenever they want me to lend my artistic talents.
You've turned into a YouTube monster. We've created a monster in you.
You kind of have. I just kind of bounce everywhere. But always, you know, you guys are my first love. So whenever you need me to come back into the studio, you know, I always love seeing you guys. And I meant it. If you guys open invite, my backyard movie theater is pretty damn dope. We should watch something together on. I've got my futon out there and it's comfortable too, you know. So, But yeah, so that's.
I think he's trying to molest you, Vader.
I know.
Yeah, that sounds kind of creepy. I'm just saying,
No.
yeah, come on out. I got
the
my
futon.
futon.
No, I got. Well, I just meant like I got a comfy couch. I got a table with chairs.
I got the
a
futon
two
in the
extra
back,
chairs.
buddy.
I
All
spent
right.
the other day. I got. You know how sativa gets you active. You know, I medicated, and I just
What's
cleaned
wrong?
I cleaned my entire backyard and then organized it and set up. I've been meaning to set up my projection thing for.
I got a nice high fence. People can't see a thing.
It's true.
Yeah,
In Vegas, everybody's got those high walls. It's
Here,
weird.
take some sativa. Relax on my futon.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
God, you guys are making it creepy.
yeah.
I'm
All
trying to
right.
be nice. Whatever.
Okay, Michael, give
Yes,
us
sir.
what's going on with you. Give us the lowdown.
Well, I'm definitely not going over to Danny's house. I
I know,
can tell
me
you that
neither.
much. But
You know what?
you
I
can find me
resent it.
over at Salty Trekker here on the tubes and Salty Crafter over on Twitch now. And here on YouTube on Friday nights, we do a live stream where we're either doing open lines or watching movies, depending on what we're doing that week. And Thursdays, me and Danny are fighting about Orville, and at least until the season's up. And yeah, on the
Well,
Mondays,
we agreed this week. We didn't fight.
yeah,
this
that's true. Usually we fight until this week. Then all of a sudden, Danny came to see the light, and then and Mondays we usually do like an open line kind of show. So yeah, and and then over on Twitch we do like Diablo and Path of Exile and Minecraft once they get all the updates done. So
All right, Brian, give us the spiel.
Popcast. You can find me on the Popcast Prime, so youtube.com/the Popcast. We have a video supposed to be going out tomorrow, but might not happen because Shane's internet went out again.
Oh no.
He's got to fix his internet, man. And then we are also on the Popcast Live, so youtube.com/the Popcast Live, and we are starting a new channel called Popcast Mysteries, and it's going to be in our Popcast Prime format, but tackling all the biggest internet troll mysteries. That's about it.
Nice. All right, Popcast. Matthew, you still there? Your nostrils are flaring, and
He's thinking of ways to kill
Yes.
Superman.
I am here.
Yeah,
Take us home, bro.
I'm waiting for Michael to invite me on his Thursday stream so I can
You're always
Rage.
invited, man.
rage about the Orville.
You're welcome.
But yeah, so going forward, we're gonna try doing more of a round robin panel discussing trending topics. We don't know if it's going to work out or not. We don't know who we're going to have on. We just want to, we've been doing the same Star Trek panel for like 2-3 months now, and we kind of want to just switch things up, try something new, see if it works. But when Star Trek does come back, we're going to be back to our old shenanigans.
sure.
I promise you.
For sure.
So anyway, I want to thank Brian, Michael, and Danny so much for being regulars on our show. We really appreciate it. Just because we're switching stuff up doesn't mean we don't still love you and
Nope.
don't want to include you going forward. We do. We just want to bring in new blood to kind of freshen things up a bit. But I've had so much fun every Saturday sitting down, getting to talk with my friends about Star Trek, both the good and the bad. And if I had my way, we'd just keep going the way we are. But I think that it's a little bit healthy to switch things up every now and again and see how it works out. So
Right.
next Saturday, we will just see what happens. We're not going to have much of a structure, but we will have fun. So I encourage everyone in the chat and everyone watching to come join us and continue on with us, and we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it.
And you never quite know who's going to show up, so we'll see going forward. I want to.
I feel like that's a celebrity hint right there. So everybody tune in.
Yeah. Christian Bale will be on the street.
No, they have. It's probably that doctor. Well, never mind. I don't want to spoil it. They probably have some good surprises, so be sure to tune in, guys.
I just want to. I want to thank everybody again, like Matt did. Thank you, Brian, Michael, Danny, for coming here and hanging out with us every week. Really appreciate and love you guys. Thank you again to the chat and our regulars in there. Couple really quick announcements. I don't know. I'm just going to say it. Matt might get mad at me, but whatever. Starting very soon, like in a couple weeks, Salty Nerd podcast, which is what we do, what we're from here. We're going to be putting out almost regular daily content, and that is a huge, big deal. And I just want to make sure everybody's looking for that. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and this show on Saturdays, including live streams and edited, produced material for our reviews for movies and shows and stuff. Matthew Kadish here puts in a ton of work. Alex, the Salty Nerd, puts in a ton of work. I just kind of show up and talk and get drunk half the time. So I don't have to put in a lot of work, but I'm going to plug it and make sure that these guys are recognized for all the hard work that they do. So support the channel, guys. We really love it if you guys came over and joined us. And, we have our Patreon at saltynerdclub.com. It's $5 a month, cost you a cup of coffee. We have special Patreon only episodes, behind the scenes stuff, bloopers. Most of my best work is there, right, Matt?
Beta's OnlyFans is in there. So
yeah. Half the stuff I say we can't even put on YouTube because the channel will get banned, but Matt puts it behind the paywall. So that's kind of fun. saltynerd.discord.com. That's open up to everybody. Don't be a dick if you go over there, but we have fun there. And that's all I'm going to say. So next week, new format of show. And thanks again to everybody. And I think I'm going to call it there. So
we should also point out that we are reviewing Star Trek: The Original Series for our members area.
Yep.
And judging on the feedback that we've been getting from people, they want us to keep going with it. So we might, continue on with that as well. So if you like our Star Trek reviews, check out our members area. We're going to have a lot of that there.
Yep. All right. I'm going to call it. Guys, thank you. Everybody in the chat, thanks again. And stay salty, everybody. Have a good one.
Stay salty, my friends.